Many people believe their life isn't moving forward because of a lack of time, a lack of money, or a lack of luck. They blame their environment, their circumstances, or their past, but they fail to see that the single greatest obstacle resides within their own mind. It's the repetitive thoughts, the limiting beliefs, the toxic ideas that have been installed for years, operating silently in the background. I have learned, over decades of studying success and human potential, that if you do not clean your mind, no strategy will work, because everything flows from there, from what you think, what you repeat to yourself, and what you allow to take root. You may feel you need a new life, but what you truly need is a new mind, and that transformation begins the moment you decide to detoxify it. Are you ready to stop feeding the fear, the complaint, the comparison, and start nourishing your focus, your clarity, and your inner power? The mind does not clean itself. It is cleaned with intention, with discipline, and with daily, conscious action. The first, and perhaps most fundamental, step to detoxify your mind is to eliminate the overwhelming excess of unnecessary information. We live in an age where the most potent poison doesn't enter through your mouth. It enters through your eyes and ears. Every single day, you are consuming far more than your mind can possibly process. Negative news cycles, empty social media feeds, unfounded opinions, and constant stimuli that do not educate you, but only saturate you. This excess noise doesn't make you wiser. It makes you more scattered, more anxious, and more confused, because when everything enters without a filter, your mind loses its clarity, its strength, and its direction. For a long time, I was a victim of this very pattern of unintentional consumption. I would spend hours reading articles that added no real value to my life, watching content out of pure impulse, and jumping from one topic to another without any depth or purpose. At the end of the day, I would feel utterly exhausted without having accomplished anything meaningful. It was a silent but very real mental fatigue. The worst part was that I believed I was staying informed, when in reality, I was just completely saturated. I had confused information consumption with personal development, and they are not the same thing. What you don't apply decays. What you don't filter contaminates. What you don't consciously select creates disorder. It was at that point that I made a radical decision. I started to guard what I allowed into my mind with the same care as I would guard my own home. I began to clean, to eliminate, to filter with ruthless intentionality. I turned off non-essential notifications on my phone. I silenced the digital noise that served no purpose. I stopped following accounts that only fed my anxiety or triggered my comparison. I distanced myself from empty, circular conversations. What at first felt like a loss, a fear of missing out, quickly transformed into an incredible liberation. With every piece of content I stopped consuming, I regained mental space. It was space to think, space to focus, and space to act with greater presence and power. This single step taught me a profound lesson. You do not need more information. What you need are better decisions about the information you choose to consume. The man or woman who carefully curates what enters their mind is the one who can build their life with precision. They no longer act out of reaction to the latest headline or trend. They act out of intention, guided by their own vision. That changes everything, because a clean mind is not a mind that knows everything. A clean mind is one that knows with absolute clarity what it needs to learn and, just as importantly, what it must ignore. Today, I select what I consume with the same rigor that I select the food I eat. Just as the body becomes toxic from junk food, the mind becomes toxic from junk content. I will not feed my mind with what weakens it. I only permit what elevates me, what challenges me, and what truly forms me, because I understood if I want a life that is clear, focused, and powerful, I need a mind of the same caliber. To achieve that, the very first thing you must do is clean house. You must eliminate the excess, stop filling your mind out of habit, and start nourishing it with purpose. If you take this step seriously, you will feel the difference from the very first day, because when the noise goes away, your mind can finally breathe. And when your mind breathes, everything begins to fall into place. The second step to detoxify your mind is to cut the root of constant comparison, for there is no habit more silent, more destructive, and more pervasive than this one. We live our lives looking sideways, measuring our own value against what others are doing, what they have, or what they appear to possess. We compare our bodies, our partners, our finances, our lifestyles, our level of success, and even their manufactured, curated happiness. We do it automatically, as if it were a normal part of life, but it is not. It is a collective mental illness that systematically destroys your focus, your self-esteem, and your very identity. The more you compare, the less you live your own life. The more you look outside, the less you listen to what is inside. I, too, was once caught in this toxic trap. I would look at other people's accomplishments, listen to their success stories, and observe their apparent progress, and without even realizing it, I would begin to feel small, insufficient, and behind schedule. It was as if I were losing a race I had never even chosen to run. I started to doubt my own decisions, question my own timing, and lose respect for my own unique process. The most insidious part is that the comparison always seemed to have a valid point, because the other person always appeared happier, more complete, or further ahead. But it wasn't real. It was an illusion constructed from carefully selected moments, well-placed filters, and narratives that conveniently omit everything uncomfortable or difficult. I was punishing myself with a story I didn't even know. One day, I simply had enough. I disconnected from everything, sat in complete silence, and asked myself some powerful questions. Who am I when I am not comparing myself to anyone? What do I truly want when I don't feel like I'm in competition? What part of my life is valuable even if no one else sees it? In that silence, I found something I had forgotten, my own vision, my own values, my own rhythm. I realized that as long as I lived my life watching what others were achieving, I would never be able to sustain what I was trying to build for myself. Comparison doesn't push you forward. It distracts you. It doesn't motivate you. It exhausts you. It robs you of your energy, plants seeds of doubt, and drags you into the superficial terrain of appearances. From that day forward, every time my mind attempts to fall back into the habit of comparison, I stop it. I don't stop it with aggression, but with clarity. I remind myself that I do not have the other person's full story. Their success does not erase my value. Their timeline does not define mine. I do not need to be like anyone else to be at peace. I only need to be congruent with myself. A person who is at peace with their own process is not threatened by the process of others. A person who respects themselves does not sacrifice their own path just to appear successful in the eyes of people who do not matter. This step is absolutely fundamental to cleaning your mind, because comparison contaminates every single decision you make. It leads you to choose from a place of insecurity, pressure, and appearance, and anything that is born from that place will, sooner or later, break. But when you empty yourself of this need to validate your existence against others, you become the master of your own story. You begin to decide with honesty, to move with freedom, and to build with dignity, because you finally understand that your only real competition is with the person you were yesterday. Every day you choose to move forward without looking to the side is a day you get closer to your highest potential. So today, if you want to start thinking with clarity, regain your focus, and live with more conviction, begin by looking less outside and more inside. Stop measuring your progress with someone else's ruler. Stop demanding a life from yourself that you never chose, and start honoring the ground you are currently seeding. What you build without comparison will flourish without interruption. That mental peace, that internal fortitude, is worth more than any visible success. It is worth more because it is yours, and no one can ever take it away from you. The third step to detoxify your mind is to break the cycle of the negative narrative you repeat to yourself in silence. We all have an inner voice, one that isn't heard with the ears but that operates all day long. This voice defines how you see yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you interpret everything you experience. If that voice is filled with judgment, with contempt, and with constant self-criticism, it does not matter how much you read, how much you advance, or how much you achieve. You will continue to feel like less. You will continue to sabotage yourself. You will continue to believe that you are not enough, because the real poison isn't in your environment. It's in how you talk to yourself when no one else is listening. For years, that voice inside of me was my worst enemy. Every time I failed, it would say, "You've ruined it again." Every time I caught myself comparing, it would whisper, "You'll never get to that level." Every time something went wrong, it would tell me, "This happens to you because you're not disciplined, because you're not capable, because you don't have what it takes." The worst part of all was that I believed it. When a voice repeats something to you over and over again, it begins to feel like the truth. That perceived truth then becomes your identity, your limit, and your cage. Even if you are smiling on the outside, working hard, and making progress, on the inside, you are contaminated, wounded, and carrying a weight that you place on yourself every single day. The change for me did not come from a book or a nice quote or from someone else telling me I was worthwhile. It came the day I got fed up. I was fed up with speaking to myself like an enemy. I was fed up with feeling ashamed of my own process. I was fed up with repeating phrases that didn't even belong to me, but that I had learned it in moments of pain, humiliation, or rejection. On that day, I stopped. I looked at myself with brutal honesty and said, "No more. This story I keep repeating is not the truth. It is only a habit, and a habit can be changed." It was not easy, but it was absolutely necessary. I began to write down what that negative voice was saying. I confronted it with logic. Is this really true? Do I have concrete proof that I am incapable? Does this judgment help me, or does it sink me? Every time that voice appeared, I responded to it with a new narrative. Not a false or exaggeratedly positive one, but a real, clear, and firm one. Instead of telling myself, "I'm a disaster," I started to say, "I am learning." Instead of saying, "Nobody takes me seriously," I would say, "They don't know me yet, but I am working on myself." Instead of, "This isn't for me," I would say, "This is challenging for me, but I will master it." Over time, that voice changed. It didn't disappear completely, but it no longer had control. This step is one of the most powerful you can take, because if you do not transform your internal dialogue, your mind will sabotage every attempt at progress. You can have the best plan, the best team, and the best opportunities, and still feel that you deserve none of it, because if your narrative pulls you down, your identity will adapt to it. But when you clean it, when you direct it, when you rewrite it every day with intention, you begin to think differently, act differently, and live differently. Today, every morning, I speak to myself with respect, not with arrogance, but with respect, because I'm taking charge, because I'm growing, because I'm failing. Yes, but I'm advancing, and that deserves encouragement, not punishment. No one builds a powerful life by talking to themselves as if they were garbage. The mind needs direction, not judgment, and you are the only one who can give it that direction. So, start today. Listen to what you are telling yourself. Change it. Make it firm. Make it your own. The life you are building needs an internal leader, not a hidden saboteur. When you clean that voice, your mind ceases to be a battlefield and becomes your greatest ally. The fourth step to detoxify your mind is to release the resentment you have been carrying. There is no thought more corrosive, more heavy, and more limiting than the one that remains trapped in what others did to you, in the betrayal you experienced, in the word that hurt, or in the promise that was broken. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It poisons you, it weakens you, and it contaminates you, yet you continue to cling to it because you believe that letting it go will be forgiving too easily, as if holding on to the pain gives you some kind of power. But the only thing it gives you is bitterness, blindness, and mental noise. I, too, clung for years to things that were not said, to moments I was not valued, to rejections, humiliations, and absences. I replayed moments over and over in my head as if reviewing them would somehow protect me, as if not forgetting would make me stronger. But it wasn't strength, it was a prison. Every thought about the past was holding me hostage in the present. It didn't matter how hard I tried to move forward. There was something inside that was constantly pulling me back. It was an unresolved anger, a grief that had not been closed, a voice that said, "I didn't deserve this," but I continued to carry it. The real change came when I finally understood that forgiving is not justifying. It is not pretending that it didn't happen. It is not minimizing the pain. Forgiving is about freeing yourself. It is about releasing the emotional bond to that moment so that you can reclaim your energy. As long as that memory remains alive inside you, charged with pain, with anger, with resentment, your mind will be occupied with something you can no longer change. That takes away power from the only thing you can modify, your present. I began to write letters that I never sent. I released in words what I could not say out loud. I allowed myself to cry for what I had never permitted myself to feel. I didn't do it to make peace with others. I did it to make peace with myself, to stop being a slave to a story I no longer wanted to live. I understood something essential. You move forward when the path ahead is clear. You move forward when you decide to let go of what you can no longer carry. And resentment is heavy. It weighs a great deal, but you get used to it. You adapt to living with that weight until you finally decide that you don't want to carry it for one more day. This step is profoundly liberating because when you clean your mind of resentment, you recover space. It's space for new ideas, new connections, and new decisions. Resentment doesn't just tie you to the past. It also distorts your present. It makes you see enemies where there are none. It makes you react with distrust, with harshness, with cynicism. You end up pushing away real opportunities because of old wounds. You end up repeating patterns because you never released the root cause. Today, I do not carry resentments, not because I haven't been hurt, but because I respect myself too much to continue allowing someone who failed me to have power over me today. I forgave them. I let it go, not for them, but for me. My energy is more valuable. I need my mind to be clean, focused, and prepared to create, to build, and to advance, not to endlessly relive what can no longer be changed. If this resonates with you, if you know there is something you are still carrying, I invite you to write it down, to release it. Don't do it to forget, but to stop feeding the poison. When you clean your mind of resentment, life opens up, calm returns, the noise disappears, and in that new space, the real transformation begins. It's not because everything is okay, but because you have decided to stop being tied to what was wrong. That decision is pure power, power that no one can take from you because you chose it for yourself, in silence, in peace, and for good. The fifth step to detoxify your mind is to stop living in a constant state of urgency. The mind doesn't just get contaminated with negative thoughts. It also becomes toxic from constant velocity, from the incessant need to have everything figured out right now, to achieve everything quickly, and to advance without a pause, without a truce, without any space to breathe. This rhythm is not sustained by your purpose. It is imposed by fear. It's the fear of not achieving it, the fear of falling behind, the fear of appearing slow. But this urgency doesn't propel you forward. It consumes you. It pushes you to act from a place of anxiety, not from a place of clarity. If your mind is in that chronic state of pressure, sooner or later, it will collapse. I lived like that for a very long time. I would wake up and immediately feel like I was already late. Everything I did seemed insufficient. If I rested, I felt guilty. If I advanced slowly, I became frustrated. If I stopped to think, I was filled with anxiety. I had internalized the idea that if I wasn't moving at 1,000 miles per hour, I was missing out on life. But what I was truly missing was the present moment. My mind was in a constant state of alarm, reaction, and tension. This state not only exhausted me, but it also made me make worse decisions. It made me less productive, less creative, and less human. The change began the day I accepted that advancing is not the same as running. Productivity is not the same as anxiety. What is truly valuable is not built in a hurry. It is built with presence. I began to intentionally reduce my speed, to set my own timelines, and to stop imitating the frantic pace of others. I started to ask myself, am I doing this out of conviction or out of a fear of being left behind? In that simple question, I found freedom. I began to move forward with more stability, more focus, and more centeredness, because when your mind isn't racing all the time, it begins to see with clarity. This step is vital because perpetual urgency disconnects you from yourself. You stop listening to your intuition. You stop taking care of your body. You stop feeling your emotions. You are only performing, delivering, pushing. You cannot build a powerful life that way. You can only build a broken one. That is why it is so important to turn down the volume of the internal noise, to breathe, to eliminate what is superfluous, and to prioritize what is essential. You must learn to advance with calm, but with consistency, because a serene mind is not a slow mind. It is a precise mind. If you're listening to this and you feel that pressure, that constant rush, I want you to know that you're not alone. So many of us are taught that business equals importance. If this resonates, subscribe to this channel. This is a place for those who are tired of the mental chaos, for those who want to move forward with direction and not just with speed. And leave me a comment below. Tell me, what is one area of your life where you feel the most unnecessary pressure? Write it down with total honesty, because when you acknowledge it, you can begin to release it. Detoxing your mind is not about stopping your movement. It is about moving with intention. It's about ceasing to run so you can begin to walk with purpose. When that happens, peace becomes your new rhythm, and from that place of peace, you will build with more strength than ever before. The sixth step to detoxifying your mind is to confront the need to control everything. Behind every tense mind, every obsessive thought, and every constant worry, there's a deep-seated need to have absolute control. It's a need to anticipate everything, to foresee the unpredictable, and to prevent anything from ever going wrong. While it may seem like responsibility or perfectionism, in reality, it is fear. It's a fear of chaos, a fear of uncertainty, and a fear of letting go. This need for control turns you into a slave to everything you cannot manage. It stresses you, it drains you, it traps you. The more you try to control everything, the more your inner world spins out of control. For years, I attempted to have dominion over everything. My emotions, my results, the reactions of other people, even the future itself. I planned every single detail, reviewed every possible scenario, and tried to ensure that nothing could possibly go wrong. But do you know what happened? I lived in a state of constant, low-grade fear. Absolute control does not exist. No matter how much you prepare, something will always go off script. Life will not ask for your permission before it changes the plans. If your peace of mind depends on everything going exactly as you imagined it, you will never have peace. The real relief came when I began to practice letting go, allowing things to flow without trying to manipulate every second, and permitting others to think differently, act differently, and react however they chose without taking it as a personal threat. I began to trust not that everything would turn out perfectly, but that I would have the capacity to adapt no matter what happened. That is when everything changed. I discovered that real strength is not found in controlling the environment. It is found in leading your own response. It's in being so connected with yourself that even when the world moves, you remain centered. This step is essential because when your mind releases a need for control, it reclaims a tremendous amount of energy. The energy that was previously allocated to fear, to anticipation, to paranoia, can now be directed toward action, creation, and presence. You no longer need to have all the answers before you begin. You just need to begin. You no longer need everything to be on your terms. You just need to move forward with conviction, knowing that you will respond as necessary. That internal confidence is far more powerful than any plan. I learned that trust is not the same as being naive. Trust is knowing that even if something goes wrong, you are going to be okay. It is knowing that you can hold yourself up regardless of the external conditions. That certainty is not built overnight. It is built by letting go a little bit each day. It's letting go of the shoulds, letting go of the what ifs, and letting go of the illusion of having absolute control over what does not depend on you. The more you let go, the more space you have for what you can actually manage. Your thoughts, your decisions, and your energy. Today, I walk with a different mentality. I plan, yes. I organize, of course. But I do not cling to the outcome, because I understood that the most powerful mind is not the one that controls everything. It is the one that adapts with wisdom when everything changes. If you want to clean your mind of constant tension, start by releasing the need to know everything, foresee everything, and dominate everything. Start to trust your intuition, your preparation, and your resilience. The more you trust, the less you will need to control. When that happens, the mind is liberated. The body relaxes, the anxiety dissolves, and your life begins to move with a lightness, but with an inner strength that doesn't need to shout, because you have finally understood that you don't have to hold everything together. You only have to hold yourself together, and that is more than enough. The seventh step to detoxify your mind is to eliminate the defeatist language you use every single day without even realizing it. The words you repeat do not just describe your world, they create it. Every time you say, "I can't," "That's just the way I am," "This always happens to me," or "It will probably go wrong," you are planting a belief. If you repeat it enough, it becomes a truth for your subconscious mind. Your mind does not distinguish between a casual complaint and an internal command. If you repeat it, It assumes it. If it assumes it, it executes on it. In this way, you are programming yourself for limitation, for failure, and for living locked inside a narrative where you are your own greatest obstacle. I used to say things like, I'm just not good at that, or I always ruin it at the end, or I'm sure something will go wrong. I didn't say it with malice. I said it with resignation, as if it were a fact of life, as if there were nothing I could do about it. But every phrase I uttered without thinking reinforced a weak identity. It made me smaller. It convinced me that what I believed about myself was unchangeable. This unconscious repetition didn't just rob me of my strength, it robbed me of my future. How you speak about yourself determines how far you will go. The change came the day I began to observe my words as if they were programming commands. I stopped talking just to talk. I began to listen to myself, and every time I would say something like, "This always happens to me," I would stop it and change it. I would rephrase it. "This has happened before, but it does not define what comes next." If I caught myself saying, "I'm a disaster at this," I would replace it with, "I haven't mastered this yet, but I am in the process." This is not about self-deception. It is about directing your mind. It is about stopping the reaffirmation of your most limited version and starting to declare your most powerful version. This step is far more profound than it appears, because when you clean up your language, you clean up your identity. You become conscious of how you define yourself, of how you're molding your life with every word you release without a filter. When you take responsibility for that, you reclaim your power. You no longer speak from a wound. You speak from choice. You no longer repeat what you heard from others. You build what you need to hear from yourself. That voice becomes your guide, your engine, and your daily affirmation that you are growing even if no one else sees it. Today, I speak to myself as the man I want to become, not as the man I once was. It's not because I deny my mistakes, but because I no longer define myself by them. I no longer drag them around like a sentence. I learn from them. They polish me, but they do not represent me. What I say about myself is my responsibility. What I declare becomes my direction. That is why I guard every word, because I know that the cleaner my language, the cleaner my thinking. And when my thoughts are clear, my actions are firm, my results are coherent, and my identity is strong. If you want to detoxify your mind from the root, start by observing how you talk to yourself when no one is listening. What do you say when you fail? What do you express when you doubt? The hidden poison is there, but so is the medicine. Change it, correct it, and become the kind of person who respects themselves even in the way they think. The life you are building begins with what you tell yourself. If you speak like an internal leader, like a conscious warrior, like someone who is rising with purpose, that is exactly what you will begin to live, because your words create your world, and that world can begin to change today. The 8th step to detoxify your mind is to close your open cycles. Nothing contaminates your clarity more than the things you have left halfway done, the things you have postponed, and the things you have ignored, hoping they would resolve themselves. Every pending conversation, every abandoned goal, and every decision you evade is like an open file in your mind. The more open files you have, the slower your capacity to think, to decide, and to advance becomes. Your energy becomes fragmented. Your attention is dispersed, and you end up feeling completely overwhelmed without even knowing why. The reason is right there, hidden in those unresolved fragments of your life. I used to have an invisible list of things I hadn't closed. There were people to whom I needed to apologize or simply say, "This is no longer working." There were projects I had started with enthusiasm and then slowly began to ignore, but they were still there, silently stealing my energy. There were decisions I had postponed because they scared me, but they dragged on every day like dead weight. Although I was still functioning on the outside, on the inside, I was saturated. My mind never rested. I slept with tension, I thought without direction, and I lived with a constant feeling that something was missing, until I finally confronted it. One day, I sat down and wrote out everything that was pending, everything big and everything small. I didn't do it to make myself feel bad. I did it to liberate myself. Everything you do not close ties you down. Everything you do not conclude becomes an energy leak. So, I began to close them. I started to finish conversations with respect, without drama. I learned to say, "This is no longer for me," when something was draining me. I finished goals that I could have completed in 2 days but had postponed for months. I made decisions even without complete certainty because sustained indecision is a form of mental self-poisoning. Closing cycles is not about being radical. It is about being honest. It's about telling yourself the truth about what no longer makes sense, about what no longer adds value, and about what you are holding onto only out of habit or fear. You must do it with courage, with respect, and with a certainty that every single thing you finish gives you back a part of yourself, a part of your energy, your focus, and your power. When you close what was left open, your mind can breathe. It becomes orderly. It regains its strength. This step can be painful because it often involves giving up old versions of yourself, dreams that no longer represent you, and connections that no longer accompany you on your journey. But it is a necessary pain. It is the pain of letting go of what has already expired. If you don't do it, the old will continue to occupy the space meant for the new. You will remain trapped in loops you don't understand, repeating patterns that no longer belong to you. But when you decide to close, when you say, "This is the end," when you choose to finish something with consciousness, you open up space for new goals, new relationships, and new parts of yourself that were waiting for the right moment to emerge. Today, I practice this as a discipline. Every week, I ask myself, is there anything I am postponing? Is there something I need to close? If the answer is yes, I act. I don't push it off any longer, because I understood that I cannot live lightly if I am still dragging things that will not resolve themselves. A clean mind needs coherence, and coherence requires completion. Everything you close with firmness becomes fertile ground for something new. When you clean your mind to be incomplete, you realize just how much power you had left frozen, and you finally reclaim it to use it, to live, and to advance with lightness and renewed fire. The 9th step to detoxify your mind is to eliminate the habit of overthinking. Thinking is not the problem. The problem is not knowing when to stop. It's turning every decision into a labyrinth. It's going over the same issue 1,000 times when it has no immediate solution. It's replaying conversations again and again, searching for hidden meanings. It's imagining every possible negative scenario until you are left with no energy, no focus, and no presence. Overthinking is a silent form of self-sabotage because it looks like depth, but it is paralysis. It looks like analysis, but it is fear disguised as logic. The more you think without acting, the further you are from any resolution. I used to live trapped inside my own head. Every time I had to make an important decision, I would get lost in mental lists of pros and cons. Every time someone said something ambiguous, I would interpret it from every possible angle. Every time I failed at something, I would review the mistake for days as if that would somehow rewrite it. But the only thing I accomplished was exhausting my mind, my energy, and my clarity. There is no way to move forward if you are constantly held back by thoughts that spin endlessly, like a wheel that never touches the ground. The change for me didn't come from stopping thinking. It came from learning how to direct my thoughts, how to put a limit on them, and how to say, "That is enough." Thinking must serve you. It must not enslave you. I began to practice this every time I noticed I was getting trapped. I would ask myself if what I was thinking about had a concrete action behind it. If the answer was no, I would stop the thought. I would tell myself, "This is not useful thought. This is noise," and I would change my focus. I would go for a walk. I would write. I would move my body, because the body in motion can often solve what the mind in a static state only complicates. Overthinking is deeply linked to fear, the fear of failing, of making a mistake, of losing something, of being judged. But that fear is not resolved by thinking more. It is resolved by acting, by deciding, and by learning from experience. What you need most when your mind is saturated is not more time to think. It is the courage to move, the action to break the cycle, the clarity to simplify, and the direction to choose a path, even if it isn't perfect. Today, when I notice my mind starting to overanalyze, I take a pause and I ask myself, what can I do right now? Not what could I do tomorrow, or what would I do in an ideal scenario, or what would I do if everything went well? No, what can I do right now with what I have, as who I am, from where I am? That single question pulls me out of paralysis. It returns me to the present moment, because that is where everything is resolved. In the now, not in the simulation of 10 possible futures that will probably never happen. This step will clean your mind like few others, Because overthinking is like having 100 tabs open in the browser of your head, and none of them are actually useful. When you close those tabs, when you limit the analysis, when you prioritize action, everything changes. Your body rests, your decisions become clearer, your energy returns to you, and you discover that life is not nearly as complicated as your mind made it seem. It just needs you to live it, not to analyze it without tend. This isn't about impulsivity. It is about trust. It's about acting from what you know now and allowing yourself to move forward without absolute certainty. No one has all the answers, but the one who moves, the one who tests, the one who decides, finds them along the way. The one who remains trapped in his head only multiplies his doubts. If you want to truly clean your mind, learn to think what is necessary, and then act. Clarity does not always come before the step. Very often, it comes because of it. The 10th and final step to detoxify your mind is to reconnect with a deep purpose that moves you. A mind without a purpose is like a train without tracks. It may have power, it may have speed, but sooner or later, it will derail. Most people are not lost due to a lack of capability. They are lost because they have forgotten why they do what they do. They live busy, productive, active lives, but they feel empty inside. When you do not have a strong why, any obstacle can knock you down, any criticism can destabilize you, and any difficulty can make you question everything. You are advancing without an internal direction, without an anchor, without a route. I was also adrift in that state. I had goals, yes. I had plans, of course. But deep down, I was doing everything from a place of empty urgency, from a sense of I should or I have to, from a fear of not being enough. That mentality took me far in my external world, but it left me destroyed on the inside. My mind was constantly contaminated with pressure, comparison, anxiety, and self-demand. It wasn't because of what I was doing. It was because I was doing it disconnected from what mattered most, my real vision, my truth, my purpose. It's that why you don't need to explain. That doesn't depend on recognition. That doesn't change with the latest fads. It's the purpose that sustains you when everything else is shaking. A true mental detoxification occurs when you return to that. It happens when you ask yourself with complete honesty, why am I doing this? What am I truly chasing? For whom am I living? If the answers don't stir something within you, if they don't connect with you, if they don't inspire you, then you are following someone else's path. And no path but your own will ever lead you to a life of peace. The mind only calms down when it feels that what you are doing has meaning, not meaning for others, but meaning for you. Reclaiming that purpose does not require you to change your entire life. It requires you to listen to yourself, to return to what is essential, to stop living for appearances and start living to build something that truly reflects you. When you do that, your mind is cleansed of the noise because you are no longer searching for external validation. You are following an internal vision. You are no longer reacting to the external world. You are responding to your internal world. That gives you a formidable strength, a clarity that cannot be bought, and a direction that makes you unstoppable. Today, everything I do with purpose. Not because every day is perfect, but because every day is connected to something larger than myself, to a mission, to a deep intention. That connection is my filter. If something does not bring me closer to what I came here to do, it does not get in. If something takes me away from my vision, I let it go. I understood that my mind doesn't need more ideas, more goals, or more noise. It needs more truth, more purpose, and more connection with myself. From that place, everything else falls into order. This is the most powerful step of all. A person connected to their purpose does not need constant motivation. They have direction. They have an internal fire. They are peace even in the middle of a storm, because they know why they get up, they know why they fight, and they know why they continue, even when no one is watching. That kind of clarity is not imposed from the outside. It is ignited from within. If you feel that you have been living disconnected, scattered, and tired of thinking without end, come back to your center. Come back to your truth. Come back to asking yourself who you are and what you came here to do. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the answers right now. It is enough to simply begin searching from the heart. So, there you have it. 10 powerful, practical steps to detoxify your mind and reclaim your inner power. It starts with cleaning the external noise, continues with mastering your internal dialogue, releasing old hurts, and ends by anchoring yourself in your deepest purpose. Each step builds on the last, creating a fortress of mental clarity and strength. If this message has resonated with you, and you are ready to build a life of focus and success from the inside out, then do yourself a favor and subscribe to this channel for more content designed to help you reach your full potential. Like this video if you found it valuable, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. And now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me which of these 10 steps will you commit to starting today. Your journey to a clear mind begins with a single, intentional decision. Remember, the extraordinary life you desire is waiting for you, but it requires a mind that is clean, sharp, and ready to build it. Stop allowing the toxins of the past and the noise of the present to hold you back. Start cleaning house today. Your future self will thank you for it.